Good day, Fayette County, and welcome to episode number 7 of Fayette Centric, a show where we talk about the good things going on in Fayette County, the people, the places, and the events, and the organizations, both profits and nonprofits, who are making things happen in Fayette County. I want to thank my sponsors today, Bright Stripe, for all your line striping and seal coating needs. They are voted the best in Fayette for 3 years running. My other sponsor is Trippy Hippie Brewing, coming soon to the west side of Connellsville, and they are the host for the Tube de Ville, where we are going to set the Guinness Book of World Records for the most connected rafters. We'll do that in the Yacht. And so a cool event that's coming August 1st. And if you're interested in participating, sponsoring, or volunteering, go to the Trippy Hippie Facebook page. The OG of sponsors for Fayette Centric is Ford of Uniontown. And if you're in the market for a new or used car, go see my friends up on the hill at Ford of Uniontown. And before they were my sponsor, I was their customer. I drive a Ford from Ford of Uniontown. So
likewise,
one of my, well, there you go. Yeah. So one of my friends who has inspired me over the years is our guest today, and that is my pastor at Rooted Ministries, Mark Scott. Mark, thank you, and thanks for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I always start off with, the floor is yours. Give yourself, tell the viewers a little bit about your background, and we'll start going from there.
Born and raised in Uniontown. Been a businessman in Uniontown for 20 or 30 years. Love the county, love the place, love the heart of Uniontown. And about 7 years ago, became a pastor at Abundant Life. We went our separate ways about 3 years ago, and Rooted started in a backyard. And it's been a mission ever since to bring Christian schooling back to Uniontown, to bring morals to kids back in Uniontown, and that's really the heart of Rooted right now. I wasn't prepared for the background question. Is there anything else I should come with on that?
So no, you're good. So where'd you go to college? Anything extra like that?
Went to college at Pitt Greensburg. Got an information technology degree, computer science minor. Really had a bad turn in college and wasn't welcome back for about 10 years. But God works in mysterious ways, and He used all of that past to help me change people's future.
God does work in mysterious ways. And one of the reasons that I like Mark and I have several things in common. One of them is neither of us took the straight path to where we are today. We took one of my favorite songs is Sheryl Crow, Every Day is a Winding Road. And we took the winding road to that path.
I might judge you for that being your favorite song.
That's one of my favorite songs.
Okay.
But
we did take a winding path.
Yeah, and which is fine. And I've said this is probably the third show in a row where I've had to say it's not where you start, it's where you end, and it's how you end. And nobody has ended yet, and we're still on the journey.
Absolutely.
And so you still, wherever you're at in your path in life, you still have the opportunity to straighten out that path. And
that's what I love about God. It says in Romans, I think 8:28, He works all things together for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. And so every bad path that I've taken, every bad choice that I've taken, which I've talked about from the altar many of times, right now I can see, okay, it wasn't the choice I should have made, but I can see how He's working it together for the good, because there's so many people that come into Rooted that have a broken story, and I'm not a one-upper at all, but I'm like, well, I can beat you on that one. And probably the greatest compliment that I've received is, well, if God can do it through you, someone as messed up as you, then He can certainly work through me. Right. And that's a hope that we all should hang on to, that we don't have to be perfect by no means. We just have to be willing, and we have to be available.
I think that's one of the things that I try to use in my profession is make that relatable to the everyman, and I think you do that very well.
Thank you.
From the altar, because you get to say, hey, look, I was where you are. It doesn't mean I'm better than you by any stretch of the imagination, but I want to help you correct and get on a better path. And we've talked about this. Your path is from the pulpit. My path is from the courthouse. Two different ways of looking at things.
A lot of similarities, though.
But yeah.
Yeah. We do share a lot of common ground. Even politics in church, they unfortunately they do share some common ground. Yeah.
So you're like a politician at church, then? That's what you're saying.
I think so.
You have to play a political game every now and then. Yeah. And we all do in life a little bit. So one of the mission then of Rooted Ministries, again, and they're at 691 Morgantown Road. In Uniontown, they're at the Mount Moriah Christian School complex.
The North Campus, yeah.
The North Campus of the Mount Moriah Christian School. Every Sunday at 10 a.m. is
unless it's you at 10:05 a.m. you show up.
I'm usually on time. That's my pastor shouldn't be lying about me right now, but he is. But we are late on occasion. But it's usually cat related. So it's the cat did something and we're cleaning something up, or something like that.
Forgiven.
Yeah. And I will mark off all the times you've gone past 11, and I'll take that off of there. So we're even.
That's fair trade.
There you go.
It's a fair trade.
So one of my favorite things, both of us on occasion attend Mount Olivet, and
I love Mount Olivet.
Yeah, so I saw Pastor Winfrey before a sermon one time. Actually, he was preaching up at the mall for Rooted.
Yeah,
and I saw Pastor Winfrey before the sermon, and I said, "Hey, my pastor gets us out on time."
How'd he take that?
So he went up on the pulpit and he said, "The commissioner's here. My friend, the commissioner's here. He's worried about the time."
I remember that.
And he took his watch and he goes, "I'm not worried about the time." He took his watch off, walked over to his wife and handed him the watch. And goes, and then every now and then during the sermon, he goes, "Commissioner, are we okay on the time?" And I'm like, oh man, I'm never saying anything to Reverend Winfrey before a sermon again.
I'll tell you what, man, God bless the Winfreys. They've been such Winfrey Sr., Pastor Crable, they've been such a valuable part of my growth as a pastor. Mm-hmm. The time, the love that Mount Olivet has poured into me, to my wife, even getting to know his son, Vince Winfrey Jr., and his wife, Natalie, it's just been a blessing. They're just really good people. A funny story, though, is I was roommates with Scott in college.
Okay.
And then Dave went to the same college as I. So if there's anybody that could probably witness to the insanity of it all, it's those two. But the Winfreys and the Scotts go back a long, long way, and I love that Rooted partners up with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So different styles between you and Vince Winfrey. He is a very fiery, very emotional, jumping.
He got fired, man.
And so what always amazes me about Pastor Winfrey is he can look at his notes and then look up and not look back at his notes for the next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
He just, it's.
I mean, he's been preaching for so long. I think he celebrated his 30th anniversary on the altar as the senior pastor there. He's just, it's in him. It's his nature. And his boy, Vince will come and preach at Rooted.
Yes. I've heard him at Rooted. He's the same.
And it's really cool then, because I think one of the things that and how politics and church combined is sometimes we can't look past certain things to just realize we're all on one team. And so like Mount Olivet and Rooted, we're able to look past some things that we might disagree on about the Bible. Like we don't have to agree on everything, right? But we agree on one thing, that Jesus Christ came, the risen Son of God. He came, he died, he rose again, and he shed his blood for us so we can spend eternity. And so as Rooted and as Mount Olivet focus in on that, it's creating a brotherhood, it's creating a family. And I think churches, if they can start to grasp that more and more, that we don't have to agree on it all, because there is an enemy out there. And he's satanic, and he is Satan, and he would rather divide us than us be united. So that's what I really enjoy about the Winfreys and Rooted. we look at what we have in common. We love each other for who we are, and we really have fun doing church together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to put that into the political realm, I have the 7 out of 10 rule. And it is, if we agree on 7 out of the 10 issues that are in the political area, then I should probably be your candidate. You know, what we've got,
Absolutely.
what we've devolved to is, if we're not a 10 out of 10, then I'm not your guy.
Right.
And I get that there are some people who are so adamant about a certain issue that if we disagree on that issue, that you're never going to vote for me. But but that's a minority of people. And a majority of people, it's we should be working together, even in a bipartisan way. The governor of Pennsylvania is a Democrat. I have to work with Democrats in the courthouse. It's just the way it is, and we have to decide: are we going to actually get things done, or not? And if you let the politics of it get in the way, I don't want the politics of something to get in the way of a really good idea for Fayette County.
Skip Giacchini taught me this. He said, Mark, there's spinal cord issues, and then there's extremity issues. And if you guys can agree on the spinal cord issues, then the extremities, I'm sure you're not going to agree on everything, but you've heard me say it from the altar. My pappy was a Kennedy Democrat. My dad's a Reagan Republican. And looking at it now, there's not much difference between them. It's just these extreme rights and extreme lefts that are dividing the country because they don't agree with us on the spinal cord part of this. And so I see you, I hear you, we've been friends. I've been your pastor for, I don't even know how long, but you have that heart to just work with across the aisle. And I love that about you, but you don't break on what is biblical. You don't break on the spinal cord issues. And I think that that's an amazing quality that you possess.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Can I get my payment for that?
Yeah, I guess.
I do. No, I really do think that, though, and I admire that a lot about you.
And it's a difficult sell, because what is happening right now then in the media, in addition to your alt left, alt right, the people who are not willing to compromise on anything,
right,
is that the media portrays these, I call it the 20% rule. That's 20% on this side, 20% on this side. But these 20% are portrayed in the media as 50%.
As the majority.
Right. And so if I'm on just this side of 50% and you're on this side of 50%, then we're mortal enemies. We have to be, that's how we have to be politically, and we're actually closer than.
And bringing it full circle, that's kind of what happened with the churches too. I mean, you have these churches who are just extreme, and it's causing that same division that we have in politics. Because really, like I said, with Winfrey and us, we have way more in common than we have separate. But people will focus on what's different instead of focusing on what's in common. Now, if Winfrey's going to get up there and say Jesus isn't the risen Son of God, then obviously there's a problem there. That's a spinal cord issue. But other things that we just love gets us through.
Very good. Very good. I didn't know we were going to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm glad we did.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So you talk a lot about playing soccer from the pulpit as well. So you were a college soccer player?
Yes.
Right. So I've played soccer one time in my life.
How'd that go?
It did not go well.
Really?
No. I got kicked in the face.
It happens.
And it was ninth grade. It was for Spanish class. Ben Franklin played Lafayette, and
I did not know that was a Spanish class that you could play soccer in Spanish. I'd have taken more Spanish.
Oh, see, and so we had, I don't know what day it was, but we got bussed over to Lafayette, and we played them in soccer. And of course, back in the day, and we're talking late 70s, early 80s, 78, 79, 80, in that range. There's you had a rivalry with the guys across town.
Absolutely.
And
even in my day when BF played Lafayette, it was on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we went. I don't remember who won the game, but I do remember I had braces and I got kicked in the face. And
Doc Breakiron will say otherwise, but soccer is a pretty physical sport. It really
I'm
is.
not sure about that.
Okay.
A lot of running. So, and we actually have Tessa Delarose from Brownsville, who is now played at North Carolina on their national championship team, and is now a female professional for Chicago.
I did not know she made it that far.
She's now in first game, first shot, first goal.
No way.
And, so
Delarose is a good family.
Yeah,
I grew up with Justin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so good things happening on the soccer field in Fayette County. But going back to then where you're at it, Rooted, you actually have a separate mission, and why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Well, so that stemmed then from probably one of the biggest heartaches that my wife and I have gone through when Zane Breakiron passed away. During that season, honestly, Hannah was my wife, and my kids were closer to Zane than I was. I grew up with the Breakirons, but they got insanely close as they got to know each other. And that morning, we found out that Zane passed. It was terrible, and it was also coincided that we lost our home church, and so we were in a desert. And I'll never forget when I did Zane's funeral. I think there was 4,000 or 5,000 people that came through that door, and I was so nervous. And I was praying and praying, like, God, what am I going to say? How am I going to do this funeral? There were so many people, police officers, everyone coming up to me. I didn't even know how to handle the entire situation. And people get freaked out when you say God speaks, but it's not this loud, thundering voice. It's just when you actually take time to shut up and listen, there's this still small voice that begins to talk. And I said, God, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know what I'm going to say. And a verse, and I wasn't prepared for this question, and I can't remember the exact verse, but it was in essence to when Jesus died. It said, though one seed has fallen, many will be produced. And that verse came to me, and I was like, wow. And when that verse came to me, I spoke it to Mindy and Doc. I said, guys, I have no idea how this is going to pan out, but I know 100% that the Lord spoke it through me, that through your son's death, many seeds will be produced and it'll reap a harvest in eternity. And so I spoke that at the funeral, and we lost our church, and I clung to that word. My wife clung to that word. We didn't know what was going on. And about 2.5 years ago, because it'll be 3 years this June that Zane passed, we started in a backyard just having sermons. And that backyard was 40, 50 people. And then I'm giving you, I guess, the history of Rooted, but it coincides so much. Then it went to Duck Hollow when it was 70, 80 people. Then it went to American Eagle. It was a lot of people. And now we're with Mount Moriah, and there's more people. And so we always said, why this? Why did this happen with Zane? Why did this happen with us losing our church? Like, why, God? And just as clear as he told us about Zane and that seed, we realized that Rooted was going to be a church that's mission, 70% of our finances, maybe more. The only way to not have a money problem in church is just to give it all away, right? Mm-hmm. And so many American churches, they get to be a business and they operate with this and that. And Hannah and I were just dedicated that whatever came in, we were going to give right back out. And so we teamed up with the Breakiron Foundation, and it's Rooted's goal then to do something that was given to me, is give any kid possible a Christian education. We talked about how I went down a bad path in college, and it was a terrible path. And I was in a room with drugs and guns and money, and I was scared to death, Scott. I mean, petrified. And I've said this from the altar, and I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I was going to make it out alive. And all of a sudden, in the back of my head, I started hearing, he's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the, and I didn't think I'd sing on this show, but
I didn't either.
I'm sorry, that's right. Decline in ratings.
Good.
But I knew right then and there, if I wouldn't have been given that chance to have that seed implanted in me, that my life might not be here, that I probably would go down a worse path. I might be in jail. And so when Rooted started, when Zane passed, Hannah and I said, we're going to give every kid a chance to have a free Christian education. And so we're at the beginning of that. Last year with the Break Iron Foundation and with Rooted, we put 31 kids through Mount Moriah for free. And we're just at the beginning because I think we lost the idea of what church is in America. I think we got really money hungry in America. I think that church became more about the building and more about Easter egg hunts, which aren't even biblical. And it became so much of a business that we lost the essence of what Jesus wanted. It was just a church that was willing to give it all away to bring the little kids to him. And so Zane's drums are behind me all the time because he always looked out for me. And the future is bright because that one seed that perished produced 31 seeds this year. Mm-hmm. And the ride's coming up June 27th. The Cash Bash for him is coming up June 27th. And I can guarantee you that we're going to go for 62 kids. And so Rooted in Mount Moriah have become an incredible team. Rich Ellsworth, the president of the school board over there, incredible man. Pastor Darrell, the pastor over there, incredible man. We break bread together. We laugh together. And we're trying to get that heart that Democrats and Republicans, Kennedy Democrats and Reagan Republicans need to get. Let's just start to look at what we have in common, and let's start to do good in our community. And I know you have that heart, and that's why I love you, and you know I have that heart, and that's why you love me, I think. But that's where Rooted in Mount Moriah have just really become a solid team, and anything that we can do to support that school, because that school's been around since 1985. I mean, like when Zane passed away, everyone's like, you need to start a Christian school. You need to do this. And I'm like, why? Why would we do something when Mount Moriah has already perfected it? What we need to do is learn that we don't have to be the head. We can just be the heartbeat that pumps the blood into a school that's doing amazing things. And here's the cool thing about it, and this is where I wish Fayette County would wake up. Their education's top notch. My kids went there, and they're leaps and bounds ahead of what public schools are doing right now. And, my daughter sends me pictures in public school how they're watching cars in science class. They're watching movies in science class. And I'm just like, well, that's ridiculous. But my son, he's growing and learning in Mount Moriah. Now, why doesn't Peyton go to Mount Moriah since the high school started? She's with Joe Everhart's cross-country program. Okay. Anybody that knows Joe Everhart, they're in Bible study together. They're doing community outreaches together. They're getting 4.0s together. And so she already had that environment. But last year, Mount Moriah started a high school. It started with 50 kids, and this year we have 65 enrolled. That's the 30% increase because there's a desire in our community. I'm sorry for talking so much. No, you're good. But there's a desire in our community, Scott, for kids that have a foundation educationally and a foundation that's not ashamed of Jesus, that's not ashamed of the gospel, that can put this seed into the kids that no matter where they go in life, whether it's the worst situation that I was in or the best situation that they could be in, they always have that, he's got the whole world, Yeah.
So, and you've talked about the fact that then these kids go home and, that doesn't mean that they're coming from Christian families. They're just in Christian schools. So, now they're able to go home and be, that vision for their parents.
Absolutely. We have a family, and I think you were there for this sermon. You're there a lot. Sometimes I know you miss, but for 30 years now, I've tried to lead a gentleman to Christ. And he fought me tooth and nail. I'm not believing in that garbage, blah, 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 blah. You're crazy. I'm like, hey, I'm telling you, bro, you got to research this because really in the end, it's a life and death decision. You're either going to spend eternity in heaven or eternity in hell. And I like you too much to let you go there. And we fought and we fought. And a couple of years ago, one or two, if you ever catch me lying, it's about time. I have no idea about time. But he came up to me and he said, I want my kids to go to this school. He said, I want them to have the education because he wanted them to go for a higher education. And he said, I don't mind that it's a Christian school, but I want them to go, but I can't afford it right now can they have a scholarship? And I said, I gave him the proper channels to apply through, and his kids got the scholarship, right? And so kids come home, they're singing these God songs. Kids come home, they're asking these Bible questions. Kids come home, and all of a sudden, I get text messages from him that he's playing Brandon Lake. I get this one photograph for Easter that he's saying he has risen in this big chalk thing on their driveway. And he finally said, I believe.
Nice.
And that was the coolest thing. Those kids going to that school changed an entire family. The mom, the dad, they're active in church. The mom even works at Mount Moriah now because she wants to be a part of the change. And so that's probably one of the biggest testimonies that we have.
Hey, we're going to take a break real quick, just to reset. I'm Scott Dunn. I'm here on Fayette Centric, episode number 7 with Pastor Mark Scott. And again, I want to thank our sponsors, Bright Stripe, the Trippy Hippie Brewing Company, and Ford of Uniontown. Let's delve into something else here, a little less heavy.
Okay.
But I think we'll probably get into something a little more heavy in a minute.
I'm following your lead, Scott.
Okay. What's the most Fayette County thing you've ever done? Now, when you think about that as, the typical, stereotypical Fayette County thing, and I always tell the story that I was in Pittsburgh and I couldn't come up with what was the most Pittsburgh thing you've done, even though I have great stories about when I was 18 and 19 and lived in Pittsburgh. On the spot, I couldn't do it, but any thoughts of, what is the thing in Fayette County that you like to do outside of your job or outside of
done, or I mean, like doing
just
now?
Anything.
I mean, I think of the field parties that we had at Virgin Run, where there was kegs and music and swimming.
Yeah.
I think of the parties at Flatwoods. That's pretty Fayette County to me. You kind of caught me off guard. I can't think of much else. I don't know if there's a proper answer with it.
Well, I'm a little older than you.
Really?
And thanks. And our field parties were at Keisterville. So and I think
absolutely.
it was So
is that a Fayette County thing, or does it just happen all?
I think it's. I don't know that.
How about racking? We used to go racking.
Racking. Kids don't rack anymore.
I grew up on Constantine Farm, so I had like a full supply of just corn.
For the corn.
Yeah, that's why my friends liked me. We could just go pick it all and throw it all.
Yeah. The kids don't rack anymore, which as a politician, I'm very happy that nobody throws eggs anymore or anything like that. So I don't have to worry about that. But
that's a good point.
Yeah, there were a lot of traditions, and mine was also sled riding. It seemed like we had a lot more snow back when we were growing up. I lived on Braddock Avenue. We had a hill right behind our house.
Absolutely.
And you spent all day outside. That's the fond memories of growing up in Uniontown are, I had a limit. I could go as far as Potter's that way, as far as the Uniontown Shopping Center that way.
Okay.
I couldn't cross Morgantown Street, but I could go back this way.
You still remember your boundaries?
Oh yeah. And then you got a bike, and it would be whatever time it was in the summertime that you left the house and you found where everybody else's bikes were, and you came back at like 6 p.m. and it's this.
Did you take your Switch with you or your iPad?
Yeah. The iPad, I had a thing that fit my iPhone right on that net. Yeah. So it was crazy. I don't know how you knew. I don't know. But what was weird was, despite all of the freedom that you had as a kid, you still had responsibility, because if I went over, the next block down and misbehaved, my mom knew about it.
Yeah.
And
there was that community.
Yeah. And it takes a village to raise a kid, or whatever that saying is.
That's right.
But it took this village, and you would not misbehave in public because your parents found out about it.
Absolutely.
And that was the worst thing.
And there was no cell phones, no email, but somehow they found out quicker than a cell phone could get there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah. Very good. And then we'll get to my second softball question later, but I think
what was your first one?
What was the easiest? That was what was most Fayette County?
I felt like that was the hardest question you asked
I got to
today.
put you on the spot a little bit. All
Okay.
right. One of the things that with education, going back to the educational part of this, is I had Terry Vassar from One Voice, One Community on 2 weeks ago.
I've worked with him a couple times.
And it's about, I tell people if I could solve one problem in Fayette County and just one thing, what would it be? And it would be to solve the crisis of poverty. And because poverty has its tentacles into everything that happens in Fayette County, whether it be crime, blight, unemployment, workforce, everything like that, we could prosper in Fayette County.
Absolutely.
That solves issues where companies, now that I see there are companies that don't want to come here because they see the statistics of Fayette County. And it's a very hard thing to fight. But I think that's the one thing that if you could change.
Well, being a pastor and a businessman, it is close to my heart, the poverty in Uniontown,
Right.
or in Fayette County.
You want more disposable income so that they come into your business and spend a little more money.
Or just to really see people start to thrive again.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's heartbreaking. It really is, because we were a community that thrived before. Okay. And I know it's your heart. We talk about it a lot. I'm not just saying this, but like I really admire the steps you're taking to solve this. And people don't see the foundation that's being laid, but you're working tooth and nail, sweating to lay that foundation. And I wish you bragged a little bit more than what you do.
I've been told that, and it's election year next year, so I've been told to start bragging a little more. So one of the things that we are working on specifically with education, and I don't have any influence on a school board. And we have 6 schools located in Fayette County. I can't really affect that at all from my position, but I can affect higher education. And so where that's coming in is the Penn State closure that's coming May of 27. We have a plan in front of the Penn State Board of Trustees, and one of the things I always say is, I've always heard Fayette County does not have the demographics to support a college campus.
Okay.
And I flipped that around. And I said, no, you don't have the college campus to support the demographics of Fayette County.
Okay.
And so that's what we are trying to do. And that's our plan, is to have an accessible college campus, lower the tuition rates, let's keep more of our kids local, because we know when they leave, they don't come back.
Right.
Let's keep our kids local. Let's have that workforce training.
So workforce training is a big thing.
In the trades, there are new things that are coming up all the time. I always hear 80% of the jobs that are going to exist 20 years from now don't exist today. And so it's always, it's always evolving, and you got to stay nimble. And so some of the big schools, they're not nimble, and they
got set in their ways.
Yeah. And so that's our goal, is to stay in front of that. We also want to have trades, training in the trades, and every trade union that we're talking to in Pittsburgh is looking for people. There's going to be a construction boom in Western
Nancy
Pennsylvania.
Decker and Doug Decker over at LBI, I feel like they do a great job of preparing people in trades.
Yeah, they have a welding program, and they have a electrician program. But there are more trades, the masonry trades. I know
Absolutely.
They've reached out. The Carpenters Union, we went and we met with them in Pittsburgh. As a matter of fact, they're having an open house. The secret sauce is here. This is taped. Before this airs, they're having an open house, and I'm going to take my son down to that to see if he's interested. And these are good paying jobs.
I'm asking you a question now, because like my son's growing up, and I'm like, I told Hannah, I said, he should go and get an HVAC degree, or an HVAC trade, or an electrician, or a carpentry school. I think these big colleges, college made me take art class. What am I going to do with art, right? And college like makes you take all of these classes and it pads their books. But why can't we, like you're talking about, just start to really train our kids? That work trade is such a valuable asset.
Yeah, and there's going to be a construction boom here in southwestern Pennsylvania, and you know, and everybody thinks it's going to be very temporary. It could be decades long, and that's how much
Construction workers buy hoagies.
There you go. And
like that.
and that's one of the things that we've talked about is, right now at Homer City, there's 1,000 workers on their project up at Homer City. So where are they staying? Where are they eating?
Right.
That's a big boom for the the service industries. So so they'll get to enjoy that for a while too. So we'll see how this goes. We are working very diligently on trying to bring new business to Fayette County. We're also trying to work with. We're not trying to. We are working with existing companies, manufacturers who are expanding in Fayette County. And I don't name their names because it is their job to. I don't want to be the politician and go, hey, I did this for XYZ company.
Understood.
I want them to announce their expansion plans. And so I don't do that because I don't feel it's my place to do that. But that's another. There's 4, 5, 6 of those, and Boeing just had a grand opening yesterday. They have a new facility out at the Big Six Plaza, and
my Subway's right there.
There's your Subway's right there. So they have 30 new employees, and they're probably going to hire another 30 employees.
Nice.
So I and unfortunately I do look at social media, and it's there are no jobs in Fayette County. Well, go see my friends at Heartland Fabrication. Go to Boeing. By the way, everybody at Boeing was primarily from Fayette County, and a lot of young people. It was very weird.
Good.
Because
Good.
And Next Wave up at the mall.
Those guys,
they're hustling.
They go to the church, man. They're hustlers.
Tyler and
Jack,
and Will and all those guys.
Joey and Mike. Joey and Mike aren't there yet. I'm trying, but Jack and Tyler, man, they're hustlers.
It's they're doing really well. Schaefer Fabrication down, which is in the old Parks Moving and Storage across from Census. They are potential for they make mining equipment. Like if you need a good job, those are the places that I can like.
Talking to Jack the other day, and I was just dumbfounded about how well they pay, the benefits, the bonuses.
Yeah.
Is it Next Wave or New Wave?
Next Wave.
Yeah, I mean that's a great company to get a job at.
Yeah,
it really is.
And you're in on the ground floor because they've only been open for about a year and a couple months.
I told you I'm terrible with time, but it hasn't been long.
So that's always one of the things I see. No jobs in Fayette County, and there actually are jobs. You have to be motivated to go get one.
Oh, you said the M word, motivated.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So, but so the whole poverty education, I really want to talk about that. But my last thing that I really wanted to talk about was, one of the things that I've learned from you, from Zane's passing, is how to follow God's plan for your life.
Absolutely.
And when I always tell the story in 2018. If you'd have told me in 2018 that I would be county commissioner in 2019, I'd have told you were insane, because that wasn't my plan.
Right.
And I don't know that I don't want to say it was God's plan either, but a lot of weird things happened along the way that make me think I was placed here. Like I don't feel like.
I would agree.
You understand? Like it's different, but it's not that I'm here because of this certain situation, but I was placed here to help with this situation. And I have weird things. So I went out to see the Area Agency on Aging a few years ago, and I got all their cards, and went back to the office and sat down. The phone rang, and I Scott, how can I help you? And they're like, I'm having problems with my father. He's 86. Who do I turn to? And I went, I'm still holding their business cards. And I'm like, call this person. And then I called back, and so they did. And I called back a couple of weeks later, and like their problems got solved.
Nice.
And it's like, but I have a lot of weird things like that where, you know, it's about connecting people and just getting to know people and being able to help connect people in need with the services that are being able to be provided. I feel like, you know, yeah, that was, it's a weird feeling.
I feel like you should keep stepping out in faith because, once again, like you're not like most politicians. Most politicians come to church around election season and say they're going to stay forever. You kind of did stay forever, and you weren't lying. But as you begin, because I tell everyone this, I'm the pushiest pastor in Pennsylvania, and I do believe that you have a calling upon you, and your job is to take that next step of faith. And you've done that since I've met you. How long have we known each other?
2019.
Is it 20? Yeah. Has it been 7 years? Yeah. And so I've seen.
I remember the first time we met.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You were pushy back then, too.
I'm very pushy because there is a call on all of our lives. Mm-hmm. The phone's constantly ringing. The question is, are you too busy to answer? Most of America now is just too busy to answer. Right. I mean, back when I heard the call, 5 subways, a housing company, and all of that, and I remember like, God, I'm so busy. How am I going to even do this? And once again, he spoke clearly to my heart. He said, if you take care of my business, I'll take care of your business. And he told me, you'll never take a pay. You'll live off of what I provided for you, but every step of the way is going to be a faith walk for you. And so we all have the choice when that phone's ringing, do I answer? And I don't think you realize it at the time or not, but you picked up the phone. And so that call is upon your life. And as you grow deeper with God, he'll take care of you and he'll carry you to the next steps. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Can you say amen?
Amen.
No one says amen.
No, nobody says amen. I that was another thing I talked to Pastor Winfrey about. I said the biggest difference between his church and your church was you have to give yourself your own amen. And I will start. Myself. I will be amening on Sunday.
Let's go. Okay. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah. But the biggest example of God's plan versus your plan was, you know, when, you know, Rooted was at Duck Hollow, and the church was for sale.
That's funny.
Up on Morgantown Street, and I don't know if you want to tell the story, or you want me to tell the story, or you know, you set out to fundraise to buy the church.
I wouldn't say fundraise, because that puts that whole church thing into.
Yeah. We
asked our congregation. We said, "Do you feel like God is leading us to do this? And if you do, let's talk about gathering the funds." Mm-hmm. And you know, it's that old story, the guy that was going across the Niagara Falls. Do you know that story? There's a tightrope, and he said he pushed his wheelbarrow across Niagara Falls, and he gets back and he says, "How many believe I can do this again?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, you can do it. You're not going to fall." He said, "Who's going to get in the wheelbarrow?" Nobody got in the wheelbarrow, right? And so when we put that out there, nobody got in the wheelbarrow, and we said, "Okay, God." You know, because sometimes when we hear God's no, we're like, God didn't answer my prayer. But I'm like, all right, God, this isn't the plan that you've had for us. You've brought us this far, and you're not going to leave us hanging. You know, like we're a congregation now. We're established. We need a place. And, you know, if no one's going to get in the wheelbarrow, then this is you saying no. And so no one got in the wheelbarrow, and we went up to American Eagle, the old American Eagle at the mall. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, I'm not allowed to say their names, but we were sitting down with a meeting at the Zane Brake Iron Foundation, and some movers and some shakers got together. And we sat down with Mount Moriah, we sat down with the foundation, and we sat down with a couple other guys. And I still remember this. Rich Ellsworth, the president, and Pastor Darrell, they admitted this years later. They said, "We were praying against you. Like, we didn't want this to be a God thing. We didn't think that this was going to happen. We didn't think this was going to be real." But in that meeting that took place, Doc Brake Iron pledged his son's foundation to Mount Moriah. Those people pledged some seed money, and Mount Moriah pledged to be the school that they are, and Rooted said, "We're going to let the community know about this." Mm-hmm. And so in that one meeting, and you know what, too? Let's give Faith Assembly and Pastor Jason a lot of credit. They worked with us a lot. They could have. They actually had bids for more money. I do believe that's a fact. But Pastor Jason, I love him to death. He said, no. He said, this is a God thing right here. Money doesn't mean everything, and this is a God thing. And so Mount Moriah, Faith Assembly, and Rooted, along with Break Iron Foundation, we really worked together. And so when it was all said and done with, Mount Moriah came to us and they said, hey, we got an empty church space, and we're not going to even charge you rent. We just want you guys to be a part of the journey with us. And so that building that we were believing God for, and no one got in the wheelbarrow, that's because no one was meant to get in the wheelbarrow. It was meant to be Mount Moriah's building, and we were meant to support them. And that's how it worked out.
And the building that you tried to get into 2 years earlier, you are now in.
Yeah.
And it just worked out. But that wasn't your plan.
Right.
That was the way God had designed it.
And so even with you, Scott, and to anybody watching, sometimes God's no, I mean, it is an answer to prayer. We always pray and want God's yes, but if we would have got yes right then and there, this wouldn't have worked out like it did. Mount Moriah is the property owner there, and we are partners there. And they deserve that because they've been the school in the trenches for 40-some years now. And God had that building for them, and he had that partnership for us. See, we knew we were going to be there. We just didn't know how we were going to get there. And now looking back at it, it's like, yeah, you had a pretty good plan, God. I'm sorry I was giving you advice.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Last thing I have for you, then I'm going to give you the floor. What advice do you give 20-year-old Mark Scott?
Oh, man. I mean, he worked all of it out for my good, but like, say no. Like, you don't have to please the people. Don't let your insecurities rule the day. All you have to do is win God's approval. And really, truthfully, what I preach from the altar, just read your Bible. I tried to beat so many addictions on my own. I tried to beat so many things on my own. And it really, truthfully, it's so cliche because hopefully I'm not too old for a younger generation to hear it. But as you give your life to God, all the things that you're trying to get rid of, he'll just take away. And the things that you don't even know that he has waiting for you, like a building where your church resides now, like a wife that you never saw coming, like he has it all waiting for you. So young Mark, like, just read your Bible, get in church. That's really it, because that's what changed my life. Yeah. Absolutely.
Very good. Yeah. The floor is yours for anything else that I missed, or...
I don't have a lot for you. I would ask anybody that feels like Christian education is their thing to contact us at Rooted. June 27th is Zane's fundraiser. I want to say every penny, but I know there's some startup costs, but they're not many because most of them has already been given to us. Jim and Cassie Charles, she funds the insurance. The Catholic War Vets have been so generous to us. There's a lot that's given to us already, but pretty much every penny raised that day is going to go to get another kid into Christian schooling. Don't give up on God. He just hasn't given up on you. And that would be anything that I could conclude with.
Very good. Well, I thank you, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
And again, Rooted Ministries, 691 Morgantown Street, every Sunday morning at 10 or 10:05. Hopefully you can pack that place out because it's starting to get a little busy up there. And
it really is. We might need a bigger boat.
Or a separate, a 9 o'clock,
I've heard that too, 2 services.
Yeah. So you never know.
Yeah.
So the one thing I don't like about 2 services is, you have people that go at the one time every time. You have people that go the other time or every time. And like every time I go to Faith Assembly, my sister goes to Faith Assembly, but I never see her because I'm always at the other one,
It's been my heart's cry to just keep it family.
Yeah.
And we really have done that. I know my wife knows 80% of the people that go to the congregation. We break bread with them. We talk to them. We have relationship with them. And I guess that's really where rooted was at. People have been telling me we're going to grow, and that's great, but I just never want to lose that intimacy that we have. When you walk into that place, you could call it the Cheers of Uniontown. Everybody knows your name, It
is true.
That's special to me. So I try to, and we don't preach pep rally sermons. I'm not saying anyone around us does, but we preach it hard, and sometimes that doesn't bring numerical growth, but it's not our job to grow numerically. It's our job to grow deeper in God. And so I hope we don't have 2 services, to be honest with you. I like where we're at right now.
You would have to do double duty then,
Yeah.
So, yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on. Everybody, this was Fayette Centric episode number 7 with Pastor Mark Scott. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.